smart woman once said that the hardest thing to do in this life is just to live it. And my God, was she right. Hi, hello, how are you? Today I wanted to do a video about some of the coping mechanisms and strategies that we use to help us get through our roughest patches. Whether you are someone who's dealing with a specific mental health issue, or you're just someone who's just trying to get by, there are a lot of different coping mechanisms that we can use. And sometimes, because of misinformation or perhaps a lack of information, we end up using certain coping mechanisms that actually do a little bit more harm than good. This happens to everyone, it's happened to me many times. And there are also some coping mechanisms that can work and do wonders and really help you, but on the flip side they can also cause a lot of harm if, say, you're not using them correctly, or maybe it's not the right situation for that particular strategy. So I wanted to go through some of the coping mechanisms that I use and, kind of help you pinpoint whether these things are healthy or toxic, essentially, kind of positive or negative. The first method that I wanted to talk about is daydreaming or fantasizing, which might not sound like a coping mechanism, but it has actually helped me get through a lot of the harder patches in my life. Often when we are going through really dark times, it is kind of impossible for us to envision what's on the other side of these dark times. Everything feels so stressful and so painful that we feel like this is how life is going to be forever. We think, if this is how life is now, this is how it's going to be for, the rest of my future, which is often not the case. And so sometimes daydreaming about not your perfect life, because perfection doesn't exist, but your ideal life or the ideal situation that you want to be in can help spur you forward towards that situation. It can be very helpful to have a goal in mind, so you can remind yourself that right now I may be dealing with a lot of stress and a lot of crappiness, but there's this thing that I am looking forward to in the future, and if I work hard enough or get over this or get over that, I'll be able to get through this dark time to get to the goal that I'm envisioning. Where this can be negative is sometimes, instead of the future goal that we have spurring us forward, it can instead be this fantastical thing that we look at and dream about without actually moving forward to it. Sometimes we'll just kind of watch these scenarios play out in our heads like a TV show, and we won't feel any drive to change our current situation to then achieve this other situation. We'll just watch it and watch it and watch it and kind of get content in watching that, all the while our current situation is just as bad as it was, or possibly getting worse. So it's important to figure out whether this goal is actually helping you move forwards and this goal is driving action and helping you change your habits to get to it, or whether this goal is just something fantastical that you're watching off in the distance and you're not actually making any real strides to get to it. The next coping mechanism I want to talk about is positive self-talk, and this is something that everyone talks about. It's, such a big thing because our thoughts become our words and our words shape our actions. So it's really important to be constantly telling ourselves, how wonderful we are, how amazing we are, because there are a lot of wonderful things that I'm sure everyone out there can do, but it is so easy to focus on all of the things that we can't do or can't do well. So we're kind of blind to all of the great things that we can do. And because it's so easy to fall into negative self-talk, we will really quickly start to punish ourselves with our words. If we don't get something right or do something perfectly, we're very quick to tell ourselves that we are stupid, that we're worthless, that we're not talented, and those words really stick with us, just as much as if someone else that you respected said them. I used to spend a lot of my time calling myself stupid and worthless and pathetic because I wasn't able to do certain things, but when I made the switch to taking a kinder approach with myself and saying, you know what, yeah, you had a bit of a struggle with this certain situation, but you actually tried, you put forth the effort, so that's awesome. And the next time you do it, you're going to have a bit more insight into this situation. Like, when I started being kind to myself, things just really took off for me. It's important to be your own cheerleader in life, because as I always say, you're the only person who's going to be with you for the rest of your life. And you can't push someone forward with negative talk. Like, it doesn't work. I mean, there might be a situation where you're really negative to someone and negative to them, and that kind of spurs them to prove you wrong, but that doesn't really work 9 times out of 10. Most of the time, it's just gonna beat them down, make them feel awful, and halt any progression. And it's the same with you. You can tell yourself that you're stupid for not being able to do something, but it's most likely not going to make you be like, you know what, I'm going to prove that internal voice wrong. It's just going to make you be like, yeah, you know what, that voice is right. I am stupid for not being able to do this. So positive self-talk, daily mantras, and cheerleading yourself is really important. Because, you know, our words have a positive side and a negative side. You know, when we say crappy things to ourselves, we believe that. When we say positive things to ourselves, we believe that. So it's important to cover yourself with positive words and positive mantras as much as you can. Alone time and self-reflection. This is something that I do a lot, and it often goes to the negative for me. It is important to spend time on your own, to cut out any external stimuli and distractions so that you can figure out what's going on in your head. It's very important to do that, to take time to be on your own. Where it gets negative is it can become isolation. I am someone who's dealing with depression, anxiety, paranoia, lots of issues, and so because of that I thought I need to take myself away from certain situations and certain groups of people to figure out what's going on with me. What happened is that I started to isolate myself. I was dealing with so much stuff and trying to figure out all this stuff going on with me that I thought, you know what, I can't bring this to anyone else. I have to like keep it here, keep it inside me and not bring it to anyone else. And I lost a lot of friends that way. There were lots of people that really wanted to help me, but I kept saying, no, I have to have my alone time, I have to have my alone time, and I lost those friendships. So it's really important to understand that while we do need to take time for ourselves, we also need to take an equal amount of time being out in the world with people. Because our problems are, yes, our problems, but that doesn't mean we have to solve them on our own all of the time. There are so many people around us that love us and care about us, and they genuinely want to help us be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. So if you notice that your alone time is starting to turn into isolation and you're maybe fearful or anxious of going out and being around people, the only thing to do in that situation is to rip the plaster off and just go out and be around people. Easing yourself into it doesn't always work, at least it hasn't for me. It might for you, but kind of easing myself into being back around people didn't really work, because I take the first little step and then when I got too scared I'd run back and isolate myself again. I had to throw myself into social settings where, you know, I had no choice but to be social and be around people, and that really helped. So alone time, it's important, but understand it could turn into isolation very quickly. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this really short video about coping mechanisms and about the positive and negative sides of them. If there are any other techniques that I haven't mentioned in this video that you use to help you get through rough patches, please put them in the comments below. I love seeing that stuff and I love sharing the wealth of knowledge about mental health stuff. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, that really helps me out. Subscribe to my channel so that you can see all of the videos that I'm making, and click the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a video. Okay, bye!